Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to your Lunch Break Live. My name is Ivana Harinkyu if you're new here, and if you're not, thank you for coming back. Today is Monday, and we're going to talk about something that if you have been on the internet, if you have been on social media in the last couple of days, you absolutely have seen at least one reference to, and that is Bama Rush. Now, what is Bama Rush? It is the sorority recruitment process happening at the University of Alabama this week. It actually started on Saturday, and it all will culminate this weekend with bid day on Sunday. Today, I am joined by our AL.com Tuscaloosa manager, Ben Flanagan, and Ben has been covering Rush for years at the University of Alabama and is kind of our Rush, one of our Rush experts here. Now, it is, and I know he cringes when I say that, but you have the most years behind you, I think, covering Rush here. But Ben, Bama Rush today is 15,000 times different than it was a couple of years ago in terms of recognition and in terms of this internet craze. I opened this video by saying that if you've been online, you have seen it somewhere. So tell me exactly what the craze with Bama Rush is this year and how we got here.
Yeah, I mean, look, at AL.com, we've been covering it for like the better part of a decade now. And TikTok didn't exist back then. Obviously, this has just been a couple of years in the making at this point. But people out there watching this who either are on TikTok or aren't probably know what Rush TikTok is at this point. And so that means you're familiar with TikTok itself, the online video platform and the app. But in 2021, the women participating in Alabama sorority recruitment, or Rush, as most people know it, the women are called potential new members, right? PNMs. That is the name that they're known as they are participating in Rush throughout the week to join a new sorority at the University of Alabama. They began using TikTok as an outlet to sort of document the whole process, really specifically things like their outfits. They would solicit for advice on recruitment, the whole process, and things that they needed to sort of like get through it unscathed, so to speak. Our colleague Rebecca Griesbach had a great report recently on just sort of like why TikTok, why Alabama Rush became such a craze. But last year, the posts using hashtags like Rush Talk and Bama Rush, those posts garnered millions and millions of views using those hashtags. And it really became a viral sensation well outside of the University of Alabama borders. Mm-hmm. And yeah, Bama Rush went viral. Like, I mean, it's something that we've known for a long time, obviously at AL.com and just in the state of Alabama. We've known that Rush is a really big deal in this state and throughout the Southeast, but the rest of the country and the rest of the world caught wind of it last year, and it has just taken the world by storm, as it were.
I love that you say that. We at AL.com, we in Alabama, we in the Southeast knew that Rush and recruitment is a big deal. It has been a big deal for a long time. But last year, TikTok's kind of coming of age and the documentation of this Rush process on TikTok got the attention of the rest of the country, where maybe sororities are not as popular, and the rest of the world who even don't have sororities in a lot of places. It really caught the eye of so many people who said, wait, what are we talking about? And Ben, I know I kind of teased saying you were one of our experts just because you've covered Rush for so long, but I will say you have never been through the Rush recruitment process. Mm-hmm. I have been through Rush. I have been through recruitment. So I will.
You know that, Ivana.
I'm just taking a lucky guess, Ben. But I can give you the backstory on some of that, which is fun. And I love the comments we're getting in. Everybody saying that they love Rush. I feel like when you go through Rush, you either love it or you hate it. And TikTok, I guess like Instagram, shows us kind of that highlight reel, right, of somebody's life. And everybody on TikTok seems to love it, but it'll be interesting to see, like we did last year, come the later part of the week, come after bid day, how many people still love Rush. We know a lot of people who don't get their chosen or their top pick sorority end up a little bit brokenhearted at the end of this. So Ben, I know we talked a little bit about how Rush Talk kind of came to be last year. It's back for what we're calling season 2. There were some rumors that maybe there wouldn't be as many videos this year because of some regulations that the sororities were kind of telling their PNM. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak specifically about like the rules that the Alabama Panhellenic Association or the University of Alabama have implemented in terms of social media guidelines, but I have heard that there has been, I don't know if discouragement is the right word. And again, like this has not been confirmed officially by any means, but look, TikTok is obviously a global platform, and Rush is something that went viral. So it created new scrutiny for the entire process and for the university. And like you said, people either love it or hate it, right? Like it's a broad spectrum, but it generates emotional reactions from people. And it's a significant cultural event. And we can talk about sort of like the impact and the significance of Rush as it relates to like why it's such a big deal in a place like Alabama. But yeah, I mean, if you're putting more cameras on the experience and bringing people inside the process and giving them an inside look at it, then it creates this brave new world, right? That has never existed for Rush prior to that point. And so my guess is, you want to have as much control as possible over that process and who's seeing into it, who knows more, who knows as much as they can about it. And it's about protection of the women who are participating in it too. So, once you create that level of scrutiny for something, you obviously want it to be as positive as possible as it relates to the process and the experience of the women who are a part of Rush. But yeah, it's just, again, there are some things you can't control when they go viral, right? People want to know more and they're going to get that information one way or the other. So either the women who are participating are going to bring them into the process through something, a fad like Rush Talk, or they'll find it elsewhere.
Well, and I want to say too, if you have never tuned into Rush Talk and you're grabbing your phone to look it up right now, the things that you're going to see a lot have been already kind of mentioned. One is OOTDs, which the women are calling their outfit of the days, where they show you what they're wearing, they say where they got it from. Something that you'll also see a lot, and you might see in some of those earlier videos from last week, is what is in their rush bag. And essentially what that is are the essentials that they're carrying around campus, going to and from all of these different events. A lot of things in there: ponchos, snacks, fans, and different things of that nature. I think everybody that watched that I know at least, had a pretty big shopping cart on Amazon after that one. Now, Ben, we talked a little bit about, and I see you ready to react there, Ben. I'll let you.
No, I was going to respond to that, right? In terms of like filling up their Amazon bags and because the scrutiny that I mentioned, right? Again, like there can be negative attention. Like a lot of people see, Sorority Rush, especially people who aren't from here or they don't understand like Greek culture or like why this exists in the first place. They may point and laugh in some ways and say like, why would they do this? This is ridiculous, right? But again, that's just lack of experience and familiarity with what it is. But on the other side of the coin, in terms of the scrutiny that I mentioned, and again, like sort of that growing magnifying glass that's on top of it, I see it as a potential recruitment opportunity for the University of Alabama and other universities out there that have sororities and experiences that they can create for potential new members. So there are two sides of that coin, right? Yes, there might be some people out there who are making fun of it, but I think as a result of Bama TikTok and Rush Talk and whatever you want to call it, or whatever hashtag you want to use, that many more people are going to want to be a part of that. And they're going to want in on that experience.
Well, and something you mentioned earlier was a little bit about kind of opening the window to this world that so many people have not experienced or been part of. Now, I did not go through Rush at the University of Alabama. I went through Rush somewhere else. But I will say that even where I went, that process is a little bit secretive in terms of, you don't want to give away all of your secrets to the other sororities, right? You don't necessarily want the other sororities to see what your events look like, what your costumes are, and what all of your events are, because you want to use that in terms of recruiting these potential new members. That is just the way of the process. We can say that it is ridiculous, and it probably is, but that is just the way that it works. So right now, some of this is kind of unveiling some of those secrets. So I wonder how the future of sororities, how Bama Rush specifically, will change with that.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll have to sort of roll with the punches, right? Again, I mentioned Brave New World. I mean, there was a rush before social media, before disposable cameras, even. So I mean, technology has always been part of this. As you'll see in some of our coverage this week, we have vintage photos from the University of Alabama Rush process and in the history dating all the way back to the 1940s. But we have some amazing photographs that we're going to share with people, but it dates back even further than that in Tuscaloosa. But again, there have been cameras that have been around, and now obviously pretty much everybody participating, all of the young women have those cameras in their back pockets or holding them and documenting every single aspect of it. And yeah, the past couple of years, it's been a little different in that you've got YouTubers out there who are posting these like vlogs about how it works and, taking you inside their their outfits of the day or their bags, as you mentioned. But obviously TikTok and Twitter and Instagram and, for that matter, Snapchat to a degree, those things have made it so much faster, right? And you're getting that information so much quicker. And yeah, until they can figure out a way to sort of like regulate that or control that to however, like whatever extent they want to do it, people are going to, see that curtain pulled back even more. And for so many people, it's extremely fascinating. And I don't think that fascination is going to wane anytime soon.
Ben, what does Rush by the Numbers look like this year? Again, we know this is historically a very big recruitment process at the University of Alabama. How many women are going through Rush this year?
Yeah. So UA told us this year that approximately 2,583 women registered for fall recruitment in 2022. And look, I mean, those numbers are pretty standard right now. So like last year, for instance, about 2,500 women participated, 2,300 women received bids. I mean, back when we started covering Rush and bid day specifically, back all the way in 2011, just for comparison, about 1,700 women were participating and about 1,300 received bids. And so it's grown exponentially over the last decade, that's for sure. And again, just for reference, the largest pledge class in the school's history came about 6 years ago. Yeah, it was 2016. And really about 2,500 women received bids after about 2,700 women participated. So we're talking about thousands of people, right? Like, I mean, this is thousands of people who participate in this annually. And so they become like the organizations and the pledge classes just continue to grow, as does, again, the cultural impact that Alabama Rush and obviously Bid Day, which is what we've covered extensively, as those things grow. So it's a big deal. It always will be. And it's just going to continue to get bigger.
Well, and one thing we should note too, Ben, is there has been a lot of comments, especially over the past few years, about diversity during
Yeah.
the Rush experience and about how the Rush experience at the University of Alabama, at least with Panhellenic sorority recruitment, is not diverse. Tell me what the university has said about that and what these sororities are doing to try to make the process more diverse.
Yeah, in about the mid 2010s, this is when things started to change, right? Because there started to be more of a public outcry over racial discrimination in UA's Greek system. In just last year, for instance, 2021, of the number of women who participated, accepted bids, again, that was about 2,300 women who accepted bids to join sororities. 236 self identified as racial or ethnic minorities, which made up about 10% of the women who received bids. That ratio, according to UA, and the numbers that they reveal, those are consistent with recent years in sorority recruitment. But again, after several years ago, there were those allegations of racial discrimination in the Greek system. The university developed what they called an action plan to sort of create more inclusion in the recruitment process for the Greek community specifically. And they wanted to prevent discrimination based on race and other characteristics that were protected by federal civil rights laws. And they generally just wanted to increase diversity in the fraternity and sorority systems.
So, Ben, do we know how many women who identify from being from different types of racial groups this year are actually going through with Rush compared to that 25, a little bit over 2,500 women that you mentioned that are going
Not
through?
yet. I mean,
Okay.
according to the patterns over the last couple of years, in terms of the number of women who will receive bids, it'll probably be in the neighborhood of 10%. That number has grown since they started this whole action plan and this process back again, sort of like in the mid 2010s. But UA will only release that information once bid day has ended and once they have the full numbers of the 2022 pledge class.
Well, and Ben, I want to quickly talk about a couple of the fun things that we've seen on TikTok. And when I say we, I mean probably me, because I know that some of this stuff you have felt a little, I think, out of your element on, and I think that that's probably fair. And I am even feeling out of my element, feeling very old watching some of them. But for some reason, I still put myself through that. Now, something that has been going around TikTok, and I kind of want to get your reaction to this, is a rumor. And again, this is a rumor; it is not confirmed that there are some women who are going through the process that are actually working for a network, and they are going through this process and wearing microphones to record what is happening during these days. Because as we know, most of these videos are done in dorm rooms and apartments. They are not done from the sorority houses, from the actual events. It's done before or after. So what the rumor is that some of these women, again, are posing as potential new members, bringing in microphones and trying to record what's going on. So the rumor on TikTok is that they were wearing microphones in bracelets. And that is, again, something we can laugh about how ridiculous this is, while we also acknowledge that people are very invested in this. So Ben, tell me your reactions there. Do you think it's happening? Have you heard these rumors?
I have now, I mean, like, it's on the table now, the toothpaste is out of the tube, Ivana. So, all we can
I
do
get
is
it. I'm
speculate.
sorry.
All we can do is speculate at this point. But look, I
Hmm.
mean, it sounds fascinating. I mean, I think a lot of our audience would probably watch that show. I know you would, right? Just in terms of like whatever that may be, if it's a reality show, if it's research for something else, like maybe like a new limited series that's like a thriller about sorority spies. Like, I can't wait to find out what it is. It's amazing. And I can't confirm any of that, right? And hopefully we'll be able to relatively soon. And I certainly don't want to speculate in terms of like what network or organization is doing that. But I can't wait to find out. But that being said, yeah, people are going to be interested because, again, like I talked about the cultural significance of Alabama Rush, right? Like sometimes we do hear from readers who they may ask why like we pay so much attention to Rush Week year in and year out. But it's really important to understand that this is a major cultural moment in this town, at this university, and really in this state each year. Like, again, it impacts literally thousands of people, including the new members, but also the active members, welcoming them to the sororities, and really ultimately the university and how it's affected by it, and how that membership sort of like drives recruitment at the university itself. But again, like, if anybody has either attended it, if they've happened to walk by or drive by the day of, or they've read our coverage throughout the years, Bid Day is a large scale spectacle that draws thousands of people just to watch it happen, whether it's friends or family of the new members or people who just want to see it all unfold with their own eyes, just to say that they did it one time. Like, we know Alabama is we know that like Alabama football, for instance, is like less than a month away. I would argue, having covered this a few times, that Bid Day brings as much of a game day type atmosphere as anything that isn't football in Tuscaloosa. Like, I mean, it's almost like a festival, Ivana. But again, like going back to your point, at the same time, there are people who do not understand it at all. And I understand that they don't understand it, right? Like, they never participated in the Greek system. I didn't participate in it, right? But and they never would, and they're critical of that culture in general. But I think that it's an important experience for the people who are involved with it, right? And it's going to shape their lives immediately and long term. And it's making a significant cultural moment that we deem is worthy of annual coverage. And Ivana, the last point I'll make about this is, look, you've shot a lot of video in your career, right? Like, I'm a photographer, taking a lot of photos of this. I can say that some of my favorite photos that I've ever taken have happened at Bid Days in Tuscaloosa, like the running, the screaming, the hugging. I mean, it is genuine, raw human emotion that's on display out there that tells a really visually compelling story.
Well, and I would argue to say that even if you are not part of the Greek system, even if you have never been part or you have no desire to be part, I think that the energy at a bid
Mhm.
day, whether it is at University of Alabama or any other school that has a recruitment process, the energy there again is one of happiness. It is one of
Yeah.
positivity. And people can feel that if they are, again, if they are just there to watch, if they are there for a family member or a friend. And that is something that, again, hopefully we can all unite on with that, Ben. Now, I have to say, I want to ask you what the most surprising thing has been in your last almost decade of covering Rush and covering recruitment. I was talking, and I will call her out here. I was talking to one of our reporters, Carol Robinson, and she and I were talking about this rumor about networks trying to plant people inside of these houses. And we were kind of giggling at the amount of things that people who were not familiar with Russian recruitment would learn. And we were just throwing things back and forth. And one thing that we both said, and if you have ever been in a sorority, if you've gone through Rush, you will understand, is a door stack. If you've never been through this, Ben, or you don't know what this is, I won't give you too much information here. I got to keep state secrets, but I will say that I think people will listen to this audio if it is being recorded through these hidden microphones and be very confused at why grown women are chanting and singing at potential new members and are in essentially a human pyramid. And it is bizarre. Don't ask me the point of it. But I think that's one of the things that people say, what is happening? So what moment have you had like that, Ben?
Oh, it's the the most shocking thing is, like you just said, it's been a decade now, right, that I've been doing this. So I'll say that first. That's shocking. And, we got to do something about that. But, um, you know, it's this, like, people call it squeal day, right? Like, that's one of the sort of like terms of endearment. And I think like what a lot of, people called it officially back in the day before it became bid day on the record. But yeah, it's just sort of like, again, that the raw emotion that you witness that day. Again, like what you're seeing, and whether it appeals to you or not, you are seeing somebody's life changing, at least according to their perspective, right? And you see it in their eyes, you see it in their face, you see it in the embrace that they have with their new sisters, with their mothers, with their family who are there to support them. Like it is a huge deal. And it's one that, I'll certainly never personally understand, like, because I've never gone through it, never will. I've had family members who have gone through it, and it was a fun experience for them too. But again, the sound, the piercing sound of those screams that are not put on in any way, I think is what you understand, that this is real. Like this is really real to them. And again, like their lives are changing. And that's pretty unique unto itself. And again, like whether or not you join it, whether or not a family member does or whatever, like, again, if you're just in Tuscaloosa, if you're a student or whatever, like it's worth seeing for yourself, right? Like these young women, the running of the bids, as we call it, like sprinting from Bryant-Denny Stadium to their new sorority houses, like a dead sprint. Last year I saw a young woman, and a few times I've seen it to where women might have significant injuries like prior to bid day, and they are either on crutches or in some cases they've been in wheelchairs, but they're not going to let that stop them. They are going to participate. If they have a broken leg, if they have a sprained ankle, whatever has impeded them up to that moment, it's not going to stop them. They're going to run. I saw a young woman who had a leg cast and crutches, and she was hopping on one leg during her sorority's sprint to their house. And she, again, just had that face full of joy, and it was a huge deal to her. And she wasn't going to let any stinking injury stop her. So again, the unbridled passion and joy is just something that you kind of have to see with your own eyes to sort of like understand what's happening.
I know exactly what photo you're talking about, Ben, that you took last year. And it is a fabulous photo. It's one of my favorites. And you can tell she is just having the time of her life, broken leg and all, or injured leg, we can say, and all. And I have two thoughts here that I think are important in this subject matter that we close on. One is I am extremely curious what happens if these imposter potential new members from these networks, if they get a bid. I am very stressed at what happens then. Do they accept the bid? Do they do the running? Do they go through
How
with
far do you go?
how far do you go
Yeah.
when you dedicate yourself to being undercover in this situation? I have a lot of questions there. And my second point is one that if you do decide to go down this rush talk hole and you've never seen it before, I will give you a word of warning here. And it is, do not go into it trying to make sense of it, and do not go into it in an analytical mindset. I have a problem when I watch videos, movies, TV shows. I overthink things very hard. I overthink plot lines. And last year when this started coming about, Rush Talk started, and we were all trying to figure out what it was. I have a friend, and I will call her out here. If you're familiar with local media, you might know Meg. And Meg had been sharing these videos, and she was very invested in it. And I was messaging her saying, I'm lost. Do they have to do this? Are they getting a commission from these stores where they're saying where their things are? I was really overthinking it, and I had to just say, you know what? Let it go. Enjoy the process and don't get too far in the weeds here. So that would be my advice if you're tuning into Rush Talk for the first time.
Yeah. Look, I mean, again, just in terms of like the overall impact, there's an economic impact here too in Tuscaloosa, where, clothing stores have big sales, where, hair, like, excuse me, like hair salons have big sales, and like just these blowout engagements and events that are related to this. And so it touches a lot of different spaces throughout the Tuscaloosa community. And I'm sure the same is probably true for other college towns, especially in the Southeast. People, we've we've covered Auburn too in the past. It's a huge deal there. Ole Miss is sort of famous for its Greek system too. But Alabama, I mean, obviously it was Alabama that took over TikTok, right? And it's Alabama that seems to sort of like take it up a notch every year. So something's happening down in Tuscaloosa, and sometimes you just got to see it for yourself, whether that's through the screen on your phone or if you're there in person observing with all the other people. Like, and I'm not lying to you, it is like a game day atmosphere. It just so happens that Bryant-Denny Stadium is where they run from to their new sororities, and it's just like looming over, these sorority rows, as they put it. But it's something else. It really is.
Ben, thank you for humoring me for this half hour. And I know you're probably at the point in your career where you're probably ready to pass on some of this midday coverage. And I appreciate, again, you humoring me. Everybody watching, thank you so much. We know there is a lot of things happening in the world, a lot of them very serious. And sometimes it is nice to take a little bit of a break and talk about something like Alabama Rush TikTok. So Ben, thank you for, again, your insight here and all of your analysis. Everybody watching, thank you. We'll see you tomorrow.